Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If this is the first time that you're tuning in, my name is Noelle and I have a vlog series regarding mine and my husband's trying to conceive journey. So first things first, this video is a TMI video, so if you get squeamish or just don't want to know anything regarding TMI, probably not the video for you. So today we will be talking about my experience on Clomid. I did try Clomid 4 cycles. What we'll do in this video is I will break it down what my experience was with it, and if I would recommend it to other people. So let's get started. All right, so first cycle. I actually was prescribed for a regimen of 3 months on 50 milligrams. Now, it did not end up being that way due to not getting my period on time. So when I had my 3 month follow up, I was only able to do 2 cycles. So, first cycle, it was 50 milligrams. We were to take Clomid from days 3 through 7. And then on the 7th day, about 10 days later, is when you will ovulate. Now, if you don't know what Clomid is a medication that is prescribed by either your OBGYN or your fertility specialist. Now, it is good for people who are not ovulating, who has bad quality of eggs, or just need that little extra push. But definitely talk to your doctor first. Please do not buy Clomid off of the internet. I've read some actually horror stories of people buying it and it's actually not Clomid. So just get it prescribed from your doctor. They're actually pretty useful with that. So going back to my first cycle. So my first cycle, we had 50 milligrams, days 3 through 7. Same thing, 10 days after the last pill, we would to ovulate. So I was taking OPKs, or what OPKs stand for is ovulation predictor kits. What it does is actually test to see if your LH is rising. Once your LH is fully rose, that is when you should be ovulating within 24 to 36 hours. So first cycle, did the 50 milligrams. I was taking ovulation strips every single day from the last day of my period, and my strips were never rising. It would get dark and then it would go back. It was like a cat and mouse, like every single day. So by the time I was supposed to get my period, I did not get my period. So I know it did not work because I checked my ovulation strips, did not rise, did not get my period on time. Now, my side effects that I had with Clomid, I only had 2 the first cycle. I did have restlessness. So when I would go to bed, I couldn't sleep. I was really tired, but my body just was not falling asleep. And I took the Clomid pill every day at the same time from 12 p.m. So I think maybe that had a factor into it. A lot of people say take it very close to you going to bed so you can get rid of some of the side effects. So the first cycle I took around noon, and I had a really hard time sleeping. Normally I would go to bed at like 9 p.m. and I actually was going to bed at like 3 or 4, and then having to get up at like 8 was really hard for my body. Second thing that I had with Clomid is hot flashes. Now, honestly, when I thought about hot flashes, I thought, hey, that's only for like menopause, and didn't really think I would get it. It's a real thing. It's kind of heck. Like, it's hell. So when I was at work, and I have a computer job, I manage about 20 to 30 people at a given time. And so I'm at the computer a lot because I do coachings. Now, when I'm at a computer and I'm having those hot flashes, the first day I had it, I was typing, doing what I was going to do, and all of a sudden, a heat flash just went over me. I started sweating in my armpits, my back, my face was like dripping sweat, and it was very uncomfortable. And then it would go away, and then it would come back, go away. And so it was like a cat and mouse as well. And it literally just kept going and going and going and going. So those were the only 2 symptoms that I had my first cycle. Like we were talking about, I didn't get my period on time. I was not pregnant. And so it did not work the first cycle. Now, I actually was prescribed Provera. So if my periods didn't start on time, to take Provera. So I took Provera to get my period started, took another cycle of 50 milligrams of Clomid, same regimen, days 3 through 7, and then 10th day, 10 days after the last period pill, that's when you should be ovulating, give or take a day or two. Now, I had this I had the same symptoms this time, still had hot flashes, and a little bit of restlessness, but not as bad. I did take it about an hour before I went to bed, so it didn't really keep me up as long as I did the previous cycle. So I actually had another symptom come in. I started to get a little nauseous around the time I should be ovulating. I would be driving to work, and all of a sudden, felt like I was going to throw up, and I didn't eat anything previous, so it wasn't something I ate. That was one time a day, was really not a lot. And same thing, I was taking ovulation strips to see if I was ovulating, which, same thing, it would get dark, get lighter, dark, lighter. So I thought maybe, hey, I was taking it and I was drinking too much water, so it was kind of diluted. But no, because I would take it in the morning, it would be a little bit darker, and then I would take like maybe 4 hours later, and I did not drink anything, and it would be dark still. But then the very next day, I would take it around the same time, and it would be light. So didn't look like my LH was rising at all, just back and forth, back and forth. And I still didn't get my period on time. So at this point, I waited. I did not take Provera to start my period because I had a doctor's appointment about 10 days later. So I just waited to see if my period would come. When I got to my doctor's, I let him know, hey, I am not ovulating. I've done 2 cycles. Actually haven't even started my period. And here's some of the side effects that I've been having. And he's like, hey, don't worry about it. What we'll do is actually we'll increase your dosage to 100 milligrams. So same regimen, take it day three through 7, and then same 10 days later after your last pill, that's when you should be ovulating. So make sure you are taking ovulation predictor tests. So um, third cycle, did 100 milligrams. I did start Provera the day that I left his doc's appointment to get my period to start. It did take about 5 to 7 days after that last pill of Provera to start my period. So then days 3, I started Clomid. And this time, I had a lot more side effects than I did previously. I think maybe it's because it was going from 50 to 100. It kind of astrabated it. So still had hot flashes. I actually bought a fan for my desk to kind of cool me down because it was getting pretty bad. Also, still a little nauseous, not as bad this time. I would get it maybe once every like week, so it wasn't that bad. And I only started to get a little nauseous after I took Clomid. Same with hot flashes as well. It was like right after I took my last pill, that's when I started getting those symptoms. This time I did have bloatiness, or I was very bloated. At one point, I was like, I look like I'm 6 months pregnant. This is ridiculous. And I'm already a pretty thick girl, and being extremely bloated, it was pretty bad. I had that from the last day of the pill all the way up until the end of the cycle. So, spoiler alert, did not get pregnant the third cycle. But I was taking ovulation strips at the same time. And this time it was actually really exciting. I did the same GP test, and each day I took it, and I started taking it 2 days after my last day of period. And it was light, then it would get darker, 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 and around day 17, that's when it was actually the same darkness. So me and my husband baby danced that day and the very following day. And I did have cervical mucus around the same time that was very stretchy. So I knew I was ovulating, which we were really excited. And they say when you ovulate, get about 14 days after you ovulate is when you should either start your period or you'd be able to get a positive pregnancy test. So, there goes the 2 week wait after that. And I'm a symptom spotter. I little things I would think I'm pregnant. I would actually get a little nauseous around the morning time and the nighttime if I didn't eat. Then I would want to eat everything in sight. Some days I didn't even want to eat at all. I was slowly gaining weight because I was not motivated to get into the gym. and I started feeling a little bit of crampiness about 7 days after I ovulated. So I was like, oh, that's implantation. I have to be pregnant. Then day 29 came around and there was my period. Now, I was bummed, but I wasn't because I was pretty excited that I actually started my period by myself. So it was pretty awesome. Didn't get pregnant, but knowing that I started my period by myself and I ovulated this time, I knew that it was working, which is fantastic for me. So the next cycle, the fourth cycle, and my last cycle that I've done Clomid, we were really excited to do it because of the previous cycle. So we did 100 milligrams, same regimen, and days 3 through 7, same. Take 2 pills because it's prescribed 50 milligrams per tablet. So you took 2 a day. And 2 days after I took the last pill, I started taking ovulation strips. And the same thing happened. It was getting darker, darker, darker. And then this time was day 16. I actually ovulated. And this time, me and my husband decided, hey, let's baby dance every other day until we've fully ovulated. And then we will kind of rest from there. So we started from 2 days after my last pill. We started baby dancing every other day. It was a job, and it was really hard to kind of keep this spontaneity into our relationship. So I try to do things like send him a cute text message, or just out of nowhere walk around naked. Try to keep there's some spice in our relationship, because if you've been trying for a decent amount of time, it continuously feels like you're in a job, and it kind of takes the fun out of it. And ultimately, you have a goal is to have a baby, but if it's not fun doing it, you're not going to want to do it. So this cycle, I did have some symptoms as well. I was still having hot flashes, very bloated. Nausea went away actually this time. I I actually was very moody as well. So my emotions were all over the place. One minute I will be happy, and then like 2 seconds later I'm watching a commercial and it's about dog food, and I'm bawling my eyes out because a puppy was getting older, and it was just all over the place. And I love my husband, and I can't understand how he can put up with me sometimes. So he is a blessing in disguise, and I don't know what I would do without him. So thank you, hubby, if you're watching this. Now, once we ovulated, the 2 week wait as well, like I was saying, I'm a very big symptom spotter. I have had every symptom in the book. My boobs were hurting really bad, the sides and the nipples and even the top, and I've never had that really before. Just my nipples hurt a couple days before my period. I was still bloated. I didn't get bloated until like maybe 5 days after I ovulated, and then it was extreme. At this point, from trying all the Clomid cycles, I gained 20 pounds, and I was very unmotivated. I was kind of nauseous. Cramping was surreal. So I had cramping around day 9 of my cycle. Day 9 of my 2 week wait, sorry. And it was like really intense one day. So I thought I was going to start my period. Then the next day was light cramping, and I always had it on my right side, right where your like ovary would be. I was having these like twinges and pokingness like all the time. So really believed that I really thought I was pregnant. So this time my family and we were traveling to Vegas for a family vacation, and the last day of our trip is around the same time I would either get my period or be pregnant so I can take a test. So when Vegas was happening, I didn't do anything like drinking or anything like that because I was like, I think I'm pregnant, so there's no way I should do that. The day before we were leaving, I started spotting. So it was bright red, but it was a little bit. So I was like, okay, maybe it's implantation. You never know, but it's kind of too late to have implantation. And so we went to gamble, and while I was gambling, I started getting some severe cramping. And when I got back to the hotel, my period came full force. So my period happened again by itself. So 2 cycles, it worked. But we were starting to get pretty down on not being able to conceive after 4 cycles of Clomid. They say you should only take Clomid around 6 months, and so we only had a couple more cycles left, and we didn't really want to waste it just yet. So we decided, hey, let's stop all my medication. Really focus on getting me back in the gym, working off the weight that I gained from Clomid, and really focusing on my health. So keeping getting my body ready for a baby. So the last two cycles, we actually have not done any Clomid at all, any medication other than prenatals, and that is about it. I've been going to the gym. So last month, I started back into the gym, and I did about 3 days per week of working out. Now I am upping it up this month. I am in the gym about 5 to 6 days a week. With my schedule at work, it actually has changed, and now I get off at 2:30 p.m. So I do have the rest of the day to go to the gym, so it's actually very helpful for me. So I've been going about 5 to 6 days a week. I'm losing my weight. I'm down 12 pounds since starting, so it's awesome. I will. I was actually supposed to have an HSG appointment yesterday. They actually called and canceled because there was no radiologist. So we will be doing that very next month once I start my period, and I will do a video on that. Now, this week just hit my fertile period today, actually, is what my app was saying, and I'm gonna get ovulation strips as of today, and I'm gonna start taking ovulation strips just to see how my LH is rising. I am waiting this long to take it instead of doing it from last 2 days after my period, due to I didn't know if I wanted to take ovulation strips this month. So I am going to take ovulation strips. I'm going to get some today. I will probably vlog every day of me taking the test so you guys can see the progression. And I will do the video next week. Now, I do want to thank you guys for joining my channel. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, if you want to click that, there is a like button as well, and there is a little notification bell. So if you click that, it will notify you when I have a video. Now, I do apologize, this video is on Saturday, but next week it will be Friday, and every week going from there will be on Friday. And I want to thank you guys so much for joining our family. And if you want to leave a comment about if you have a channel or your experience on Clomid, definitely do. I will respond as quickly as possible. So thank you guys, and I will see you next Friday.